Welcome to Fulfillment Project. Season 1 is a wrap. This is it, and I want to take you through my journey of filming, recording, producing, editing, publishing, putting out millions of interactions, hundreds of thousands of listens. I can't believe in 24 episodes how much ground we've covered. I can't wait to launch into Season 2. So much more planned for you. Very exciting stuff. An exciting kickoff to the season in a couple weeks. I'm going to take a couple weeks off, collect myself, and then we're going to kick off this puppy here. One of my biggest takeaways from this podcast is that anything you want to do, you can do it. I learned it with the marathon earlier this year. I was running for a couple years, and then I thought, I'm going to turn this interest into an actual thing. Got a 20-week running plan, ran a marathon. This podcast, I've been journaling, writing, recording for years, never really did anything with it. Formalized it, made a plan, turned it into a podcast. So many failures along the way, which I'm going to cover today. But that's the only way to learn, is by doing. You must do to learn. If you're sitting still, you can't change direction. You have to be moving to change direction. So whatever it is for you, if there's something that's bubbling up in the back of your mind, I just couldn't recommend more that you do it. If you're wondering how to get started, drop me a DM, shoot me a message. I'd love to talk you through it and game plan with you. This has brought me such life. I'd love that same thing for you. All right, so I got a list of things here that I want to go through with you. First, how is it different to listen to a podcast and then record a podcast as the host? And then I was just a guest on a podcast, and oh my gosh, is it different to be the host on a podcast than the guest where you're the one being interviewed? So incredible. So much respect for all those podcasters out there. Starting out, I had no idea what to do. And historically in my life, I would get insane and intense on the gear. So I would get all the gear up front. I'd get really excited, get all the gear, and then realize, this hobby isn't really for me. So over years and decades of doing that, with this podcast, I thought, you know what? I'm going to start the podcast. I'm going to focus on the content. I've got crappy gear. You can see it here. I set up a camera behind me so you can see my very simpleton podcast setup. And if this thing has traction, if I stick to it, then I'll upgrade the gear as needed. What happened first was I was just going to put out articles because I wanted to write a book, and I do want to write a book, and I will be a New York Times bestseller in time. So I pushed an article out, and then I thought, no one's going to read this because I wouldn't read this because I don't have time to read this. I've got kids, I've got a job, I've got a family, I've got stuff going on, but I consume content like crazy via audio. So I recorded myself reading it, and then I thought, here we go. So then I pushed out a couple articles where I read them, and then Shannon, my wife, was like, you're not interesting enough. You need to have guests on. And these are highly nuanced topics, so let's get some different insights, because I put out a big idea, the 5 pillars of fulfillment. Okay, well, that means different things to different people in different seasons of their life. And oh my gosh, the long form podcast has turned into one of my favorite parts. I thought when I started, I was doing this for my big ideas that was going to turn into my book. And maybe that's the case. Maybe that'll happen. But the nuances we have extracted out of these long form conversations, people all over the world, is just so incredible, so amazing. Okay, so we do the articles. We start doing the long form. Then that's when Sarah tells me my voice isn't sounding very good. And so she hits me with this Blue Yeti. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. It's a good microphone. I'll be updating one day along with my camera. But for now, it is amazing. It changed the game for my vocals. I did a long form with John and Weston. If you remember that was one of my early interviews, maybe my second or my third interview. What I learned there is interviewing 2 people is a lot harder than interviewing 1 person. You've got so much going on. The notes are really intense to organize. The story arc is hard to manage because they each had very different backgrounds. And so I learned from that one. I think I'm going to stick to doing 1 person unless the 2 people's story is very integrated, because it's just too hard to manage. I wish after the fact that I had each of those guys on separately, because each of their stories merits its own conversation. And maybe I'll have to have them back in a future season. The article, The Hidden Value of Staying Put, very interesting because Bridget Nohara was advising me, and she really pushed me to talk about myself more. I was trying to make things generic to make it applicable to as many people as possible. But what she helped me see is that's kind of boring. It's kind of generic. It's kind of like, does this guy really get it? Has he actually lived this? And the whole point of this podcast is it's supposed to be super relevant for you and things I've lived. We've all heard people talking about crap, rubbing banana peels on their face, doing the cold plunges, running bazillion miles, and they've never done it. It's just good in theory, or they've done it for a week or a month or whatever, and there's no endurance there. So I wanted to do things that I actively do and have done for a long time. And it felt very uncomfortable putting myself at the center of this thing because it's vulnerable and it's scary. And I'm trying to weave my story into it and relevant anecdotes and stories more and more so that you can get your hands around it better. I hope it makes the topics we're talking about, the cross-domain theories, more applicable to you so it's less pie in the sky and more real, tangible, right in front of you. You'll notice I'm in a temporary office right now. I've been moving around to different offices. I'm building a new office. And so different people have been very generous letting me work out of their spaces. I also travel a lot, so I'm on the road in my car and hotels. And wow, that's been unique. I can't wait to have more of a permanent setup. I think that will help with the production aspect of it. I want to get to an area where I'm doing multi-angle. Today is the first day I'm doing multi-angle. I'm setting it up. And so I'm hoping to get some good multi-view stuff just to make the video a little more engaging for you, for those that watch the video. I talked to this producer in Nigeria who was coaching me along for a while, and he helped me reorient the framing of the podcast. I mean, if it seems natural, good. Let me tell you, there's a lot of work that goes into the preparation of these story arcs, and that guy really helped me adjust the way I craft each episode with the intro, the beginning, and crafting a good hook, and then launching into the content, making sure the content has a good arc, and then synthesizing and closing out. Wow, it feels like the template of each episode has gotten so much tighter as I've gone, which makes it so much easier to deliver a good episode at the end of the day. Curious if you've noticed or not. It certainly has felt different for me, although part of that may just be getting more comfortable doing the podcast thing in general. People along the way, like Chris Spellman, have given me really good ideas to incorporate into future seasons, which I'll do. I can't tell you, I have a whole list of things I want to incorporate into future episodes, future seasons. The truth is, sometimes when doing an audacious goal, like for me, this podcast is, it seems simple, but for someone in my type of life, it's a lot to do this. And if I try to do too much at once, it will kill the goal for me. It will kill the dream because it'll be too much. It'll feel overwhelming and I'll just stop. I know that about myself. It's happened so many times throughout my life. So I've got these things queued up. And when the time is right, I'm going to insert them into the pod. And I'm excited to do that because they're all really good things. I'm just limited with budget. I'm limited with time, limited with energy. And as this show grows in popularity and monetization becomes a thing, then maybe I'll insert some of this stuff that's more capital heavy. You know, I was in a band for 15 years. I love music. I love production. One of the toughest things is you see some of these podcasts and they're really beautiful. I mean, they've got the whole thing, multi-camera, crazy microphones, the whole deal. I struggle with that. And like I said earlier, I'm just focusing on the content right now. I mean, the production quality is super stripped bare, and I hope you see that and appreciate it. I mean, this is grassroots here. I'm coming at you from my heart, and yeah, I hope the production can get better. But that's like I'm using this Logitech cam, because I had it, and whatever. I'm not going to let the production quality be a hurdle to putting this out there. And as time goes on, incrementally, it will get better. There's a story of a person, I think it was a guy, who invested $100,000 into a dope setup for podcasts. And then literally one episode and the podcast canceled and he sold everything and lost money on the deal because podcasting is so hard. Getting guests on is a lot of effort. Prepping for this is a lot of effort. Let me look up the stats real quick. What percent of podcasters make it past the first episode? Tell me that, Grok. Okay, 10% of podcasters make it past the first episode. So that substantiates the $100,000 story right there. I think people have a fantasy of, oh, I just get on and record. Recording's the funnest part. Everything that happens when you're not recording is why people don't keep doing it, because it takes an immense amount of effort. All right, let's see how many people get past 10 episodes. This is crazy. Okay, so how many get past 10 episodes? 5% get past 10, or roughly 50% of those that make it past the first episode reach 10 episodes. So if you get past the first episode, half of those people will get to 10 episodes. The other half will drop off. And then 20 episodes, only 1% of podcasters, or only 10% of those who make it past the first episode, get to 20 episodes. So it's crazy we're still here and we're picking up momentum, which gives me a lot of hope. And a lot of this journey is staying power, and staying power comes with people resonate with the content you're putting out. And it seems to be that people are resonating with this. If no one was, I'd stop doing it. It's just simply too hard. It's too much to keep doing if no one was interested. All right, switching back to my notes here. What else we got? Man, recently I've been feeling a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to be putting these ideas out here? I'm certainly not the smartest person and I'm not the best person, but I just happen to be the person. And I think sometimes that's what it takes. I was just having a conversation with someone the other day. How many amazing artists are there out there that were too scared simply to put their work out there? You know, I mean, we know the Da Vinci's, we know the Raphaels, but was there someone out there even better, but just too self-conscious? Unfortunately for you all, I'm the idiot that is doing this, and people that are brighter and smarter that don't want to put the effort into the podcast or do it consistently, or their life circumstances don't allow for it. Hopefully I'll be able to get them on the podcast to bring them to you and take the hurdles out of the way for them. If you know someone like that, send them my way. I get probably 2 to 5 requests a week of people to come on the podcast. And many of them I turn down because they're just trying to self-publicize themselves. But people that have something meaningful, a great story that we could learn from on Fulfillment Project, man, please send them my way. I'd love to have them on here. And it'd make my job a lot easier from having to find all these people and cold call people that I think are interesting. But imposter syndrome, oh, it's so real. I'm sure everyone who does stuff like this feels it at one point or another. And I just want to let you know, I say it frequently, I think, but just to underline it and highlight it, I know I have flaws. I know I'm not perfect. I'm not telling you anything. I'm on this journey with you. I am the #1 listener to this podcast. I consume the content. I listen to each episode several times. I do my self-reflection guides on the Substack because there is so much meat on the bone. These people are bringing so much to the podcast, and the ideas, I mean, these enduring ideas have a lot of depth. They hit you at different seasons of your life in different ways. So it's worth revisiting and coming back to and churning up. All right. Season 2. Let me just bump through a couple things that's exciting. New bumper music. That's not a simple thing. I'm in talks with a great guy to work with his music. I'm excited to show you that. And it's just, I've been looking for the energy of the show, something that captivates or encapsulates my energy and kind of the vibe of the show in the music. It's important that it all feels integrated. And I think I have something good. I can't wait for you to hear it. A multicam, better cam. We're pulling this off, a little test today to see how it goes. These angles suck, but this is what I'm working with in this temporary office space here. So that is season 1 in a nutshell. I'm so curious what you guys think. Give me feedback. Send guests my way if you know people. And thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a blast. I hope you've gotten half as much out of it as I have. And it's only getting better. We're only picking up steam. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you for the launch of season 2. If you get something out of this episode, please like and subscribe and share with a friend or 100 friends.